It is not looking good for Donald Trump. His cognitive and physical decline is accelerating rapidly since the purported incident at the White House Correspondents' Dinner yesterday. Donald Trump gave an interview with state regime media known as CBS. Just take a look at Donald Trump sitting on the chair. It looks like there's something growing out of him on the backside of that chair. We don't know what that is, but throughout this interview, Donald Trump was saying, I'm not a pedophile. I'm not a pedophile. We made this graphic at the MeidasTouch network showing famous denials by corrupt presidents. You had Richard Nixon saying, I'm not a crook. I'm not a crook. Donald Trump during this interview was saying, I'm not a pedophile, as he was yelling at Norah O'Donnell for asking him, just as a response to the manifesto published by a purported shooter. Here's what Donald Trump said. Here, play this clip.
I'm not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody.
Do you think he was referring to you?
Excuse me. I'm not a pedophile. You read that crap.
And then it got worse from there. Donald Trump said he wants to rename ICE to NICE. That's what he was posting. I want Trump to change ICE to NICE, National Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So the media has to say NICE agents all day, every day. Then Donald Trump responds to this random account in all caps. Great idea. Do it. DJT. Great idea. Do it. You're asking at Melissa Marie or at Alyssa Marie 11 to do it. You know, she's not a congresswoman. She's a random social media account, and you want her to change the name of ICE to NICE? And then also Donald Trump was asked about the incident, even though the alleged incident was nowhere near where Donald Trump was. And Trump was in kind of the stage area, totally different floor from where the alleged incident took place. But we all saw what happened, right? Like the Secret Service, they first take J.D. Vance away, and then they go for Donald Trump, and then Donald Trump just like falls flat on his face because Donald Trump can't walk really in straight lines anymore, or he can't walk well. I mean, you all remember the video of Donald Trump with Putin in Alaska, where Trump couldn't walk in a straight line, right? Or Donald Trump in Japan with Prime Minister Takaishi can't walk in a straight line. Donald Trump tells Norah O'Donnell, he goes, I didn't fall. What happened was I started walking with them and they said, please go down, get on the floor. So I dropped to the floor. Yeah, that's not what happened. You fell on your face. You fell on your face as you're physically and cognitively deteriorating. That's what happened. I mean, I have the video, so we can just play it quickly. Just play it quickly. And then also Donald Trump posting images of the reflecting pool all day, dozens of images of the reflecting pool, because he says he's making the reflecting pool look great. And so he posts an image of the reflecting pool, and then above one it says Hussein Obama, and then on the other one it says Trump. And I guess he's trying to say that former President Obama's reflecting pool is dirtier than the current reflecting pool, but as lots of individuals, including the MeidasTouch network, pointed out, these images are actually identical. Note the clouds and floating birds are the exact same, except the left image has been altered to make the water appear dirtier than in the original image. He's using AI dirt, I guess, to make it look dirtier. The original image was also taken in 2004 when George W. Bush was president, not when former President Obama was taken. And then it gets worse. It gets worse. And you're like, oh, Ben, how does it get worse? Let's look at other headlines, though, just before I show you how it gets worse. The Hill, of all places. Here's their headline: Trump's decline is an emergency. Why doesn't Congress treat it like one? Or the Daily Beast: psychologist warns Trump's deterioration is accelerating. Or, of course, Mary Trump compares Uncle Donald, 79 years old, to her granddad who suffered from dementia. That was the opinion that she shared. Now, you go through Donald Trump, what he was saying on state regime media as well. And so Donald Trump's plan, as he says, as it relates to Iran, is as follows. He goes, because the naval blockade is doing so well, the oil fields in Iran are going to explode. That's what happens when you have a naval blockade, he says, and the oil fills up too much in the areas in all of the kind of oil containment systems. And then that's going to blow up all of Iran. So that's Donald Trump's plan. Okay, I'll let you hear what he says first, and then we're going to fact check it, of course. Here, play this clip.
But what you're referring to is that when you have lines of vast amounts of oil pouring through your system, if for any reason that line is closed because you can't continue to put it into containers or ships, which has happened to them, they have no ships because of the blockade. What happens is that line explodes from within, both mechanically and in the earth. Something happens where it just explodes. And they say they only have about 3 days left before that happens. And when it explodes, you can never rebuild it the way it was. In other words, it will always be, if you rebuild it, it's hard to rebuild it all, but it would only be about 50% of what it is right now. So it's a very powerful thing that takes place, sort of having to do with nature. But when that gets clogged at the end, in other words, when you have to turn it off because you have no place to store this oil, either put it on ships or storage tanks, which they are just about finished with, a very bad thing is going to happen. So I think they're under pressure. But
yeah, as Daniel Davis, an expert on this, explains, that's not how oil facilities work. Pipelines don't just blow up because they can't store enough oil. That's a lie. If that was a risk, then 5 of the 6 GCC countries, the other Gulf countries, would already have their pipelines explode, and none have. Literally, the systems are designed with a fail-safe safety measure to make sure that doesn't happen. Plus, Iran is definitely not 3 days away from full storage capacity. It takes a lot longer than that to reach that level. If an Iranian pipeline suddenly blows up in the next 3 days, the likely culprit will be U.S. missiles, and that will trigger a massive retaliation from Iran. If Trump is trying to be cute again, it's just not going to work. And so it's going to blow up in all of our faces. Like, what are you talking about, Donald? Your plan is you think the oil fields are magically going to just blow up? I mean, what are you talking about? And then Donald Trump went on this weird rant with state regime media saying that he's such a consequential president. And when you're so consequential, that's why there were all these assassination attempts, he said. Donald Trump's approval is worse than Nixon's when Nixon resigned. Trump's approval right now is 33% overall, about 30% on the economy. Again, worse than Nixon when Nixon resigned. Here, play this clip, though.
You've had multiple attempts on your life. You're, at the end of the day, a human being with a family. And I just want to know what the conversation was between you and your family members last night after you left the premises.
Well, they sort of said to me, you have a dangerous job. I've known that. I didn't know it was quite as dangerous when I ran very innocently for president, but I'm very happy with the job we've done. And, consequential, really, if you're a consequential president, you're in much more danger than if you're not a consequential president. Most presidents are not very consequential. They don't do the job that they're supposed to be doing. I mean, we have to stop Iran from having a nuclear weapon because the whole world would be in danger. We would.
Where does that stand?
The Middle East would get blown up. Israel would get blown up within minutes from the time they got it. So we can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. So this should have been done by previous presidents. It should have been done for years, 47 years it's been going on, and nobody did anything about it. We had to do that. I took the greatest economy we've ever had, and I said, we're going to have to take a little detour and stop that from happening. And that's what happened, and we've done a great job. And it'll come to an end very soon, and we're going to be very victorious.
Then he said how he was going to let it really rip. He's going to let it really rip the night when there was the alleged incident. I was going to really let it rip. Here's what he has to say. Let's play it.
We can't let these criminals and these really bad people change the course of events in our country. We have to, it's an important event. That was going to be an important event. I mean, I was going to get up and make an entirely different speech. I was going to really rip it last night. I was talking about everybody. And then they said, well, my speech is going to be much different. It'll be a speech of love. But I didn't get a chance to do that. Probably I was better off if I didn't. I don't know. But
And then he goes on and makes up that Secret Service was not getting paid when they are getting paid, just so we understand the level of derangement here. Here, play this clip.
And said that this individual apparently attended a No Kings protest in California at some point, and that there was some concern that he might carry something out like this. What is your reaction to being the target of so much violence and hearing these new details just as they're breaking?
Well, I heard about the London situation, and I wish they would have told us about it a little bit, but it is what it is. We had a great group of people there last night. We had both inside in terms of the people, the audience, and also because they were all, they were strong, relatively speaking, compared to what the potential threat was. And the Secret Service and all law enforcement I thought they were outstanding. You can always, they can nitpick and everything else, but they were outstanding. They stopped them cold. And there was no games being played, that I can tell you. And you just look at them, these were strong, solid people who've got to get paid. This is a group that is not being paid. If you think about it, the Democrats are holding up their pay, and I think maybe they'll loosen up a little bit now because I thought great talent was displayed last night. Bravery, but talent.
And then he has his handlers like Attorney General Todd Blanche, like literally send legal demand letters to the group that filed the lawsuit to block the ballroom and said, now that the Golden Ballroom is so needed because of this shooting incident, you need to drop your lawsuit. And then Todd Blanche posts the lawsuit for Donald Trump to read. It's time to build the ballroom. That's how they're providing therapy to Donald Trump. It's time to build the ballroom. You'd think the acting attorney general would be prioritizing justice after an apparent mass shooting attempt involving top officials in our government, but he seems more focused on getting Donald Trump's ballroom built. Something that has nothing to do with the event. I mean, literally, it's a letter to the lawyer representing the people who sued to block the ballroom. Last night, another attempt was made on Donald Trump's life. Therefore, dismiss your case. Allow the ballroom to be built. I'll just remind you of this video we made at the MeidasTouch Network. We tried to warn everybody about all of this, okay? Here's the video we made about frontotemporal dementia. Here, play this clip.
And my stupid people, when I wanted to refute it, they said, sir, don't dignify it with a rebuttal.
Have you been noticing peculiar behavior recently in someone you know?
Carried out by
Someone who mixes fiction and reality?
the late, great Hannibal Lecter. He's a wonderful man.
Perhaps someone of advanced age you have known for years.
Did you just see Maduro, Venezuela? It's unbelievable, Venezuela.
Of course, we all have our goofs. But consistently odd behavior can be a sign of frontotemporal dementia, a degenerative disease of the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain that dramatically impairs cognitive function. And there are some key signs to look out for, like slurring words.
The failing New York Times by anonymous.
Struggling to find the correct words is another sign.
The Mueller report, I wish, covered the oranges of the investigation.
You may also notice someone veering into incoherent ideas, detached from reality.
You know what I'd do if there was a shark or you get electrocuted? I'll take electrocution every single time. I'm not getting near the shark.
Or an inability to complete simple sentences.
Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat.
Other notable symptoms include impaired motor function, such as a wavering limb, and decreased balance, often accompanied by a signature lean or arched stance. If someone you know is demonstrating several or all of these symptoms, they are seriously unwell. As a matter of safety, they must be relieved of critical responsibilities and disqualified from any position of authority. Remember, frontotemporal dementia is a degenerative disease. Cognitive function will never return and will only deteriorate further. Don't ignore the signs.
Then recently I spoke to Dr. Gupta, and here's what he told me. Let's play it. In the experts that you speak to and in your own practice, have you ever heard of somebody taking these cognitive exams that Trump keeps saying he's taking like every 3 months or 6 months? This level of, have you ever heard of that? Like with that level of frequency?
No, nobody takes a Montreal Cognitive Assessment, MoCA for short, which it focuses on recall, memory loss, basic things. Mild cognitive dysfunction is what it tends to sort of screen for. It's not a great tool. No one takes it with this type of frequency. I was on with Nicole Wallace yesterday, and I thought she said it beautifully. Saying that you're passing it every other week is not some sort of flex here that he thinks it is. It's an unusual thing to keep boasting about. Doing it as frequently as he's doing makes no sense. I don't know any neurologist that would recommend doing a MoCA with that type of frequency. And again, it's not the flex that I think he thinks it is.
There you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Help us get to 7 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.